Hey tribe, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. I'm back here with another travel video, sort of, not my normal style, but this is what we're doing until we get through the whole month of October because I lost 5 weeks worth of video footage in a hard drive failure. So no point in crying over spilt bytes and bits because this is what I have to work with. So what I have to work with is what was captured on my iPhone because I still have that. That's not normally how I capture video for you guys. It's what we got. And part of the reason I'm doing this, so if you don't like this style, go ahead and just skip over it. Don't worry about it. But part of the reason I'm doing it is I originally started doing travel videos because I wanted to document my travels, thinking, first of all, that my friends and family from my former Sticks and Bricks life might be interested in what was going on. Apparently, most of them are not, which is fine, no big deal. But the other reason is that when I am in my dotage, that would be old age, and I'm no longer able to travel, I thought I might want to look back on some of the places I've been and the really cool stuff that I've gotten to do. And so I am capturing some of these memories with the limited amount of pictures and or video that I have available to do that, just so I can keep the memories. So hope you enjoy this. In today's video, we are traveling a relatively short distance in Maine. I think it was a total of 54, 39 miles, maybe. I think we don't, yeah, it wasn't much. It was under 50 miles, but it was mostly slow driving too. And we did a lot of stopping and walking around and stuff like that. So I'm going to put a map up right here on Google that shows you the distance that we traveled. We started in the northeast at a Walmart in Thomaston, Maine, and worked our way kind of southeast and then west, south and southwest, and ended up in Wayback, Maine for the evening. But we saw some cool stuff along the way. We weren't really very far from the ocean. If you recall from the last video like this, we were still fairly close to the Bay of Fundy and to the Atlantic Ocean. So I super enjoyed my time in Maine, and I didn't want to lose uh, my, northeastern portion of this journey by forgetting about it. 2 years from now, when I'll lose track of some of the stuff I remembered and share with you today. And so thank you for being here. I truly appreciate that. A big shout out to my channel members. And if you think you might want to join the tribe, you can hit the join button in the video down below or scan the QR code that's going to be on your screen right here. And without further ado, we're going to roll the intro and get right into this.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for goodbyes. Journey calls, let's roll the dice. Every mile a new surprise.
Okay, so we spent the night at the Walmart in Thomaston, Maine, and one of the things that I had already figured out to do within the past month or so was when I was spending the night at a Walmart or basically in a parking lot, I would try and find something on All Trails or look for a park or something where we might be able to go for a morning walk so that we weren't just walking around a Walmart or equivalent parking lot for Kit's morning walk. So in this case, I found this view, and All Trails said it was a great trail. I think it was supposed to be just over a mile, and I'm thinking, all right, that's about perfect. We like to do about a mile first thing in the morning. And I got over there, and you can see the dirt parking lot there that has a car in it. And we walked out of that parking lot. Well, even in what ostensibly could maybe be called a trail, which wasn't much of one, you can kind of see it on the picture there a little bit. Even that grass was high. I mean, my feet in my shoes were wet within 10 steps, and so that grass was probably about 8 or 9 inches tall, kind of laid over on itself a little bit, and then surrounding the area that looks like a trail, it was like a foot and a half tall, and there were all kinds of bugs and all kinds of things. So we tried walking it for a little bit, and then we basically gave up. The reason that I wanted to spend the night in Thomaston was that the first thing I wanted to do the next morning, after Kit's walk, of course, was visit the Maine State Prison Showroom. I don't know why, but I gotta say that really carefully because I always get it wrong. So basically, it's prison industries, and I think it's from more than one prison around the state. But this showroom is run by the inmates, and I think all of the products in the showroom are created by the inmates, and there were some amazingly cool things there. A lot of woodworking stuff, but some upholstery and some other things. Very, very cool. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage or any still photos from that. I'm really disappointed because I did a really cool interview with one of the guys that was working there, and I'd love to be able to share that with you, but alas, part of the lost footage. So we had a great time there. We probably hung out there for like 45 minutes and looked at everything that they had, enjoyed talking to the people. They were doing things. I remember one of the things that they were doing were cornhole boards, and they were very, very cool looking. They had quite a variety. The woodwork was very, very high quality. And if I had room to carry stuff, I might have bought something, but I didn't. One of the really cool things about visiting the Maine State Prison Showroom was that about a block behind it, off of the main road, there was a lane that led into what had been turned into a park. Now, it had been turned into a park because it was originally the site of the prison, and and I really wish I had this video too. They had left two walls, that formed a right angle, that were like the original cornerstone walls from the prison, but the rest of them had been way torn down. It was a very, very inhumane prison. I think this was one where the prisoners also had to build the prison that they were being incarcerated in. And, they were like kept in holes in the ground. It was pretty nasty. But it's also the prison on which Shawshank Redemption, the book and then the movie, was actually based in Maine, but the prison that they used to shoot the film, for the exterior shots at least, was actually in Ohio, because I've been there before as well. I'll try and remember to put a link over here, actually up there, uh, for that video if I can find it. So very, very cool stuff to see. And it was a big open park. We spent probably an hour or so hiking around all of the perimeter of that and looking at the river at the St. George. I think that was the St. George River. Can't remember for sure. But looking at the river and wandering around, and Kit got to spend some time off leash. So, and if we had known that was there, we wouldn't have bothered with that first walk in the soaking wet trail earlier in the morning. But whatever. You never know until you know. So there's that. So from there, we continued on to go visit the Langlais Art Preserve. Now, the Langlais Art Preserve is pretty interesting as well, and that's located in Cushing, Maine. It wasn't terribly far away. We didn't have a real long driving day here. Part of what's interesting about the Langlais Art Preserve is that it contains the art of Bernard Langlais and his wife. After he passed, his wife, Helen Friend Langlais. I love that her last name is Friend. I have another friend named Friend, actually, uh, but I digress, as I do so frequently. She devoted her life to preserving his art, and so they made this preserve on what had been a salt marsh that they purchased, I think, in the 60s, in order to be able to have year-round life in Maine, because up until then they had been spending summers there, but they wanted a year-round residence. And so it was I think about a half a mile trail through the woods. It was pretty interesting. And there weren't any actual sculptures in the woods themselves, but there was also like a sculpture path around the area showcasing a lot of his artwork. His medium was wood, and I've got very few pictures because, again, I shot a lot of video. Oops. Um, but I do have a few pictures that kind of give you an idea of what kind of wood stuff he was doing. One of the pieces that I thought was really interesting resembled a Trojan horse, like the original Trojan horse. There was a big elephant, there were some bears, there were all kinds of things. And after we had finished hiking the trail through the woods, which was quite pleasant, and you'll see the tree root picture here. I don't know, I found it fascinating. We walked past a couple of different ponds. I had Kit off leash the whole time because I was the only one there while I was there, except when we came out of the woods, we were heading back to the rig, somebody else was there. Well, there was also an apple orchard that had been on the property, completely neglected. It wasn't being tended at all anymore. But somebody who was local and had two friends visiting had pulled in because she knew about the apple orchard, and they had come to pick apples. So I picked a few apples myself, and then we got on our way to our next destination for the day. One of the other things that made the Langlais Art Preserve so interesting to me is that it was another one of those Kohler Foundation sites. And if I recall, it was either the only one or the largest Kohler Foundation site in Maine. You may recall, if you've been following my travels on my Geographic World Streams tour, that I also visited the MT Liggett site, which was a Kohler Foundation site in Kansas. I'll try and remember to put a link to, oops, wrong side, to that one up here, because that was very cool as well. So, and I've been to a couple of other ones. Oh, because of MT Liggett and also the Garden of Eden in Lucas, Kansas. I'll put both of those up here for you to check out as well. We're heading for our Harvest Host location for the evening, which was the Maine Tasting Room in Wachusett, Maine. Interestingly to me, it was less than 10 miles away. I think it was 9.7 miles. I'm looking at Google Timeline right now, so I know where I was and what I did. 9.7 miles away, but it took me 48 minutes to get there. So it was an okay Harvest Host. They weren't super dog friendly. They really were not terribly dog friendly at all, quite frankly. The parking was a little bit sketch. I found it to be, not terribly level, and the walking in the area was actually very dangerous. The main road, so it was at an intersection of a main road and a side road, but the main road was just crazy busy and pretty noisy. It stayed pretty noisy even late into the evening. And then the side road, especially during rush hour, late afternoon and early morning, traffic was just whizzing down this two-lane road with basically no shoulder at 55 plus miles an hour. So it wasn't the best opportunity for Kit and me, but it was fine. What was really worthwhile there, and again, lost the footage. I did meet another gal who was staying there at the same Harvest Toast location, and we sat out and had a cocktail together in the evening and did a little fire in my little tiny solo stove, which was pretty fun. So that was nice. So did I enjoy the stay? Yeah. Would I go there again? Probably not because of the walking situation, but I'm glad I went. So that's October 1st. Hope you enjoyed it.